Welcome, everyone, to A Mexican and Redneck Follow the World. We're your hosts and surrogate fathers, Juan and Ben. Today we'll be discussing overcoming personal insecurities.
I'm so insecure, Juan.
You want me to hold you?
I want to be held.
I need somebody to cuddle me.
Help me.
Anyways.
That's terrible. We're not making fun of anybody.
No. If you do need a hug, we're definitely open to giving hugs.
If you see us, you start talking to us, as long as,
because
you're not a danger, we'll hug you.
There is something about receiving a hug from a man that you look up to as a father. There's something just embracing about it.
An appropriate teepee hug from a man.
Yeah.
A teepee hug is important.
Yeah.
Your wieners can't touch. You never want the members to touch. It's got to be a teepee hug. So chest, but beyond the rib cage down, you really don't want that to touch.
Really?
I don't.
Note taken.
But yeah, a hug's nice. I like hugs.
Insecurities, Ben. Not that I have any,
No, of course not.
But
no. This is my episode one, obviously. No. I'm gonna throw just a blanket statement out there. I think everybody does have insecurities at some point or another. Now, some of them I think can be life crippling insecurities where you can barely stand to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
And coupled with other things, of course, like depression or whatever. But other things can be just simple momentary insecurities when you're given a big task at work and you're like overwhelmed and, oh my goodness, how am I going to achieve this? That's an insecurity.
Yeah.
It's a brief one.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, I got to figure out where I need to start. And then you start and then you keep going and you're fine, and as you go with it, or as you continue the project, you get more and more secure and confident. But I think everyone has personal insecurities at one time or another. That's one thing you can take away from this. So you're not the only one.
Yeah, like I'm real insecure about my abs, because I have a gut and I can't see my abs, so it makes me insecure about it.
You need to get one of them bodysuits or some paint, or maybe exercise.
Some Spanx. And how can I get it without actually doing the hard work, though? That's
how can you get abs without doing the hard work? I don't know. They got apps, probably. Apps where you take a picture. But you feel so good when you do exercise, and you're like, "Look at this muscle," and then you're all jacked up, and you got confidence, and oh my goodness, you overcame your insecurity.
Yeah, but then you're tired and sweaty.
Yeah, but we're done. Episode's over. Work hard, and your insecurity will go away. And we just knocked over our timer.
It's all right.
Okay, so overcoming personal insecurity. So when I had the thought of this, this podcast, I was thinking, man, psychology says there's flight or fight people.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally. And I naturally have a propensity for flight. Not that I'm going to run away from everything, but I just don't like conflict.
Okay.
I like peace. I naturally am drawn to it. I'm naturally... Why can't we just talk and work it out and move on? Deal with our feelings right then and there, and then we live happily together, A little bit of a hippie thing, I guess. But I just I don't mind dealing with the conflict, but I don't want to have it linger.
Okay.
And so that's, and don't get me wrong, I'll make the choice to fight. And I've had fist fights before, and I've had screaming matches and verbal altercations where I just stood my ground formally and professionally. But overcoming insecurity was kind of big because, I stated in a previous episode we recorded, I had a good life that was very confident, and then things kind of went sideways in my home life at a young age. Around the age of 7 I started noticing some changes, and by the age of 12 it was prevalent when my parents were splitting. I think it was 12, it might have been 13, I can't remember, but you go from this great home life, you're homeschooled, your parents are real involved in the community and stuff. I mean, we would do volunteer Christmas present wrapping for kids who didn't have parents, for foster kids and stuff. And, to going to, both parents are working, your parents are divorced, you're dealing with people in public school who are really aggressive, and it's like you're already in this defeated state, and then you have to deal with PE class, which can be rough in its own. And the thing that, and this is for me, but I can identify a moment when I was 15. And you remember, like hardcore heavy metals, like screaming type music?
Yeah.
I went to a local show called The Underground in 2001. That summer, I was 15 years old. I went with my friends, and I saw all these kids listening to this "My Daddy Doesn't Hug Me Enough" music. and I was like, but they were all like me. They all just loved being together. There was a mosh pit and a circle pit, and we were dancing and punching and pushing each other. It was like we were all unified, and I was like, oh, I want to be a part of this.
I always wanted to go one of those, never did.
Oh, it was good. I went to a lot of shows in Rocket Town in Nashville. Your stomping grounds, or old stomping grounds, and then Cave 9 in Birmingham. Shout out to those places. Great times. But anyway, so it was, I observed this in 2001. It's like, I want to be a part of this. So I got a bass guitar and an amp, because I had friends who were all going to be in a band, so I got stuck with the bass. And I started playing, but it was like super low volumes where you almost even couldn't hear it, because I didn't want people to hear me. I was so bad. And I was real insecure, and I was like, oh, I don't want confrontation. I just want to hide. And I was like, but I had to be a part of that scene. That music did something to me, and I found a thing. And I was like, I got to go for it no matter what. So then I got to where I could turn the volume up on the amp a little bit, and you could hear it well. And then I got to where if you were outside of my bedroom, you could hear it. And then I got to where I actually practiced with my friends, and we were horrible. But what that told me is, oh, wait, we're all bad, and we can all be bad together. And I found a little bit of a community to build me up. And then now you've seen me, and I've played in front of you. I've played weddings, venues, clubs, whatever, conferences, and you've seen me, and you're like, oh yeah, this guy can play the bass guitar.
Yeah, he's confident with it.
He's confident, and I think I actually had someone hear me and heard me play, and they're like, hey, do you want me to... They actually had me an audition lined up to go to a Muscle Shoals Sound. Like, do you want to do that? And I kind of was like thinking, I was like, man, that'd be cool, but I don't really want to be professionally in the music industry, because that's not in line with where I wanted to go in life,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I overcame that insecurity because I had that thing, that music. Like, I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to be on stage like those guys.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that was constantly pushing me, no matter what. And that led into other stuff, went to multi-level marketing, and I had to do cold calling and stuff like that. And that helped me overcome a lot.
Yeah.
And built my confidence. But
it's funny you talking about that, and it's because we both kind of have a little bit of experience with multi-level marketing and stuff that, and all that jazz. Which, nothing wrong with multi-level marketing, unless, it is something wrong with it.
yeah, it all depends.
Yeah, it all depends. It's for everybody. It's not for everybody. But I remember, the premise of what you're telling within your story, Ben, is that overcoming that fear. Because, to me, insecurities is just a fear of your past.
Yes.
Of your past mistakes, which, is like, you're telling your story about high school, and I remember this... one of my high school stories, freshman year, there used to be this little steps, and everybody would always jump over the steps instead of over the rails and stuff like that. And I remember one time, during class change or break, during the break, I was thinking oh, I'm gonna jump it because everybody jumps in there. Everybody looks so cool, So I jump it, and I land on my side. I didn't actually land on my feet. I landed on my side. And then the entire school was in that area, and everybody just turns around and just starts laughing at me. And I was like, I was never that athletic. Athleticism is not in my genes.
Sure.
And it's not in my wife's genes. So we pray that our kids somehow hit the bell curve, and it's oh, they're really athletic. Oh, thank God, because I was not. But I remember as far as like when in high school, I wanted to go into the military and having to train. Well, you have to be able to run,
Oh yeah.
and then like my run time in high school was always I was a 15-minute mile guy.
Oh, no.
And it was like a slow slog. It wasn't even a jog. It was just
You're
a
just
slog.
kind of walking pitifully.
And I remember that.
Weirdly.
I remember that first time when I kept on trying it because I wanted. I was like, man, I want to go into the military. I got to be fit. You got to be able to run. And I remember the first time that I hit, it was like a 13-minute mile, and I was like, okay. And it went to a 12-minute mile, then an 11-minute mile.
Yeah.
And I was like, and you get that confidence building. But man, overcoming your insecurities, it takes work.
A lot of work.
It takes a lot of work.
Hard work.
And I think a lot of times we rather just dwell in the misery because especially when you're like that mosh pit you're talking about, like all those kids, they're all insecure, but they're all together. So the thing that's bringing you together is your insecurities.
Yeah.
So if you deal with your insecurities, you're not going to be part of that group anymore. So then you have to move on, because then because then you're going to be the bully, like, oh baby, whatever, and so it's like, how do you deal with that?
It's just a natural progression, though. It starts with okay, dealing with insecurities is basically saying, I'm going to accept that I can fail. And realizing you can fail. Because when I got up, and I'm using playing an instrument as an example, there's a lot of examples that led to me being able to even do a podcast. This had its own level of insecurity for me. I was like, wait a second. I got to open my life up to people. There's going to be a window into who I am, who my family is, and I, good or bad, here it is, And so with that music thing, I had to accept, okay, I'm going to get up on stage at some point in front of people, and I think most musicians go through this, and I have to accept that I might mess up, and you will. I did. I messed up. I messed up a lot. But the thing with music and the secret to it is to just keep playing. It's one of the old adages.
Just keep playing. Just keep playing.
Yeah. And so we kept playing. We kept going. We kept doing the song, and it would sound bad, and the drummer would mess up, or I would mess up, or guitar, or whoever. And what do? You just keep playing, and you support each other in that. And I found in all my endeavors, multi-level marketing, playing music, doing a podcast, you got to find people who want that same goal and can kind of reach down when you fall and help pick you back up. Mm-hmm. If we're recording this and I start going off on a tangent or losing my track for the purpose of this, I got you to go, hey, come back over here. We're not talking about fire trucks. We're talking about personal insecurity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and that was one of the secrets is, okay, even if it's just one person, find someone you can kind of unite with over someone and let that be your bonding agent. And if you can bring a third person in, or y'all can go and join a group and then you have a whole crew of people, that boosts your security. Don't let that one thing become your identity. But if it needs to be for a little bit until you can really find out who you are in building your confidence, great. Keep going with that. Let it be your identity for a little bit and then say, okay, I can do this. Can I do this other thing?
Yeah.
And pursue that other thing and fail at that other thing. And then you start going, oh, I failed a bunch and I lived. Mm-hmm. I got rejected a lot, but I'm still here trying. Mm-hmm. And after a while, you'll start going, oh, okay. Yeah, it was hard. Yeah, it hurt. Yeah, there were days where I was completely defeated and wanted to quit. But I kept trying and I found a new way to do something. And I was like, oh, wait, this new way is actually better than the initial way I thought it was going to be. And it was not being so focused on one expectation of the outcome, but being focused on just the journey you were in the moment.
Yeah.
And just achieving that day, not the rest of your life.
Man, that's so good. I always find myself like, as I look at my insecurities, they're always tied with my fears. And then I look at it as like, a lot of times we let our fears stop us from doing what we're supposed to be doing. I think about even with this podcast, Ben. Mm-hmm. There's been many times where we could have been like, oh yeah, I'm not going there. Like even talking about our insecurities, like, ooh, there's some things that I'm going to have to open up about. And I'm just like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. But it's, if I don't, then that seed of opportunity to achieve something greater, I'm going to let that die. So to me, I've come to the point in my life to where it's like I see my insecurities tied to my fears, and then that insecurity, that fear, that doubt, it's almost like a seed, an opportunity where, like, if I go after this, there's potential for this to become something greater.
Oh yeah.
Than what it can actually be. So am I going to let my fear stop me from achieving that greatness? You know.
Oh yeah.
And it's like you think about you think about anything you do in life. Success always comes at the point of failure. When you fail and you get hit with that choice, am I going to quit or am I going to push through?
Mm-hmm.
And when you decide to push through, that's when success comes. That's when people are like, oh man, if he can do it, I can do it. And I think that's part of it, as far as like dealing with your insecurities. It's not just about dealing with your insecurities for yourself. It's going to help you, but it's going to help the people around you. You know, especially if you have kids, your kids are like, man, if my dad can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
You know, or is, you know, because you never want to be known as the guy that's like, well, yeah, I dealt with that same issue. So how'd you handle? Oh, I did it. I just gave up. It worked out. I still live with my mom, but, you know, we're good. Mom! Send me loaf!
Oh man. Well, with that, I don't want to say anything else other than thank you for listening to a Mexican and a redneck father of the world. We love you and we're proud of you.